Welcome. I'm Linda Lewis for We the People Continental Congress. My guest tonight is Kevin Tebedo. He's a candidate for the state of Colorado for the Continental Congress 2009. Welcome, Kevin. Thank you for driving up here from El Paso County.
Thank you, Linda. It's my pleasure.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all?
I am a native of the state of Colorado. Was born in Grand Junction and now live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I have 5 children. And I run a business down in Colorado Springs and love the state of Colorado. This is where I choose to make my life and travel other places, but this is home.
Awesome, awesome. That's wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today. Why don't you share with us what the Continental Congress means to you?
Well, essentially, the Continental Congress is a remake of 1774, when the founders of this nation were faced with the reality that King George was not going to stay true to the Magna Carta, when it became really solidified in their thinking that they were facing a real live tyrant and a governmental body that was not going to take into account individual liberty.
Sure.
These men came together to decide what to do about that. And they didn't take it lightly. They didn't look at it in a small light. They were very filled with trepidation and concerned about what to do. That was a very significant issue. In a very real way, that's exactly what the Continental Congress 2009 is about also. It's about a government, predominantly at the national level, that has ceased to operate according to its guidelines of the United States Constitution, has stepped out of its guidelines, has gone beyond the powers that were delegated to it, and have gone into doing many, many things it shouldn't be involved in, and in doing so, has become much more oppressive on individual freedoms and liberties. And the Continental Congress 2009 is going to be a discussion from delegates from all 50 states, 3 delegates, to discuss what we can do about that.
And what do you anticipate that will look like over the course of, is it 15 days?
It's pretty close to 15
Okay.
days. It's November 9th, though, I think, to the 22nd, or,
okay, so
or somewhere
14.
in there,
Sure.
14 days.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know. I mean, having never done this before,
Sure.
I can say I'm excited about it. I mean, I think it's going to be a piece of history, and I feel very honored to have had my name put in the hat. Whether I end up being elected or not, it's still been an honor, a lot of fun to discuss it. But I think it's going to come out from 3 primary areas, and that's going to be what individuals need to do to regain our liberties, what needs to be done inside the states,
sure,
and how the national government can be held accountable to the Constitution inside its bodies and its bureaucracies and elected officials and so on. And I kind of see the Continental Congress going down those 3 paths.
Sure.
We have to go to the individual, we have to stay within the states, we have to talk to the states, and of course the federal government is key.
Sure. Do you think it reasonable that we could actually put the federal government back in the box, the confines of the Constitution, in a peaceable and lawful way? I
do. I honestly do believe that it's reasonable to think that. Will it be easy? No. Some of the things have come about through power brokers that will not give that power up.
Sure.
That power will have to be taken, but we don't have to shoot to take those like they did in 1776.
Right.
Because we do have a constitution, we do have a document, we do have a system of laws in place already. We just need the proper people in place that will support those. That is why we need people at the local level who will stand for their freedoms, will elect people into office, will hold them accountable when they go up. If they go up and they don't do what they're supposed to do, we have to pull them back out again. But if anything of the recent debate over the health care debate with Obama's health care package has shown, is that the Tea Parties, the 9/12 rallies, they do pay attention to the American people. They make it sound like they don't care what the masses think, but by golly, they do care.
Listening.
And I believe the Continental Congress 2009 can coalesce that voice of the people into a voice that will be hard for them to ignore. And I believe we can get back to our constitutional form of government.
And that is, of course, the hope and intention of the Continental Congress.
That's the goal.
So, Kevin, tell us why you believe that you will make an excellent candidate, a delegate, beyond candidate, excuse me, a delegate to the Continental Congress. What do you bring to the table that is different from the other delegates?
Well, I think I can honestly say that any of the delegates that are on the ticket would be good to send to the Continental Congress. We can only pick 3.
Sure.
And any one of those people on there is worthy of your vote. Every one of them has things that they bring to the table. I think a couple of things that I bring uniquely to it is having been involved in constitutional issues in the early 90s, having been involved in writing a constitutional amendment and bringing it, seeing it go all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
Sure.
Actually got to sit in the Supreme Court and listen to the case being argued that we brought. Amazing. And it was very fascinating. During that time, I studied the United States Constitution thoroughly and developed a love for it, and also began to really understand some of its intricacies and how simple it is, yet it's also complex. And exactly how does it protect freedoms? Not just the fact that it does, but exactly how it protects freedoms. I believe I understand those well and understand how those protections should be seen in the public square because of what we did in the early 90s.
Sure. And so in the public square, what do those freedoms mean?
Well, the freedoms mean the ability to raise your children in an education system of your choosing. It means to be able to live your life in a manner where your substance isn't sucked away from you by somebody else, given to somebody else who does not produce like that. The liberty and freedoms mean being able to do what is required of you, but not being forced to do that which is not required of you. And basically, living our lives free from an overarching intrusion from governmental entities that take our money, that impose sanctions and things on our behavior in order to benefit themselves.
Sure. Well, that's excellent. Very informative. And you sound like an excellent candidate. Would make a great delegate. I want to thank you for coming in today.
Thank you
very much. And we'll look forward to seeing the results of the election, which will be October 10th, 2009. I encourage you to go to the We the People Continental Congress website or givemeliberty.org. It is crucial that America's voice be heard in this election. So please go visit those sites, make your donations. We're running a campaign right now to encourage you that even in these hard economic times, your $1 donation can make a difference for America, for our children and our grandchildren, and for our prosperity for many years to come. So go ahead, visit those websites, find your local polling place, and get out there and vote. And thank you again for joining us this evening. God bless you, and God bless America.